going to welcome on the friend to the show, my girl, Marrie Lobel, and she's a California-based freelance dating, sex, and relationship writer. She is a Geekalicious, I love that, Geekalicious creator of dirtyinpublic.com, a co-host of Mr. and Mrs. Romance podcast, and she combines wit, wisdom, and a splash of audacity, which I love, and takes pride in shattering outdated perceptions about women, and this is what we're going to be dealing with tonight. So let's welcome on Marrie Lobel. What's up, Marrie?
Hi,
Marrie.
everyone.
Quite contrary.
We sound like old friends, and I've done something I should be ashamed of already.
Oh, no. We love Marrie.
There's something about Marrie.
Right.
Always.
What are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fan-freaking-tastic. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Now,
Awesome,
our topic tonight is about women who are basically the main chick. You know, they're the lady, they're the wife, they're, the pure creature, and
pure is a relative term.
Right. And so we always hear the term a lady but men mostly want a lady in the streets and a freak in the sheets. Now, what's that all about? Is that real? Is something realistic?
I think that is absolutely 100% realistic. I think that you and I probably walk the walk and talk the talk of that saying. Because when I think of a lady, I think of a woman who is confident, has good ethics, as in she's honest, she's straightforward, straight shooter, you know what you're getting, and, just because she's a good lay doesn't mean she's not ethical, doesn't mean that she doesn't have a brain in her head, doesn't mean that she doesn't have self-confidence or self-esteem. It just means she knows how to rock her body and rock yours.
I try to say that all the time. Just because I'm smart doesn't mean I can't, hose you down or something. I don't know.
Right?
Hose me down, really.
Well, you know what? I think that we're brought up to believe that the two things are completely separate.
I agree.
Yeah, either
totally
you are
agree.
a good girl or you're a bad girl. So
right? Women who like sex can't possibly be good mothers. That's another one of my favorites. It's like all of a sudden these women who go out and have babies, finally for the first time in your life, you have tangible proof you've actually had sex before because there's a child. And all of a sudden they become virgins. And it's kind of like, whoa, what happened? And it's kind of like, it's okay to enjoy your sexuality, but it's okay to also be ethical. It's okay to also be honest and confident and dynamic and, have good morals. You can have good morals and be a good lay. I don't understand why that is so polar opposite in our society. I really don't.
That's crazy because I'm not filling my man card or anything, but I just have to say that
your man card is gone.
My man card is gone. But I agree. I want the woman that's going to help me formulate a business plan during the day, and then like at 9 o'clock, rock my socks. You know what I'm saying? I mean that's I want the business plan. If we have a 3-year plan, and then in the midst of the 3-year plan, she's rocking my socks. I mean, that's just it. I want my socks rocked, period. But still, take her out in a cocktail dress at 5 o'clock.
Nice. And
why do I picture Dre with a button-down white shirt on and black socks on and nothing else?
See, I got the buck naked,
right now,
nothing but socks on.
Okay, I still had him dressed.
I am dirty.
Oh my God! I always felt that men compartmentalize women, where they have the wife and then they have the mistress or the lover or whatever they want to call her, the chick on the side. And, I feel that they reserve certain things for certain women. I mean, I don't know if I'm wrong in that, but...
Well, I'm not a dude, but I got to tell you, I think that that happens quite frequently, and it actually happened to me in my past. Totally had that. It's the Madonna complex. Like, as soon as you become pregnant or a mother, you're no longer this sexual being anymore. You're on this earth to procreate and care give, and it's kind of like, whoa, I'm still the same person. And I don't understand where that comes from, and I do believe that happens in a lot of relationships. Not all. I don't want to taint the man card over there by generalizing.
Thank you.
But I do think that happens, and I think it's unfair because I do think that a truly confident woman does enjoy her sexuality and does enjoy sharing her sexuality and giving pleasure and receiving pleasure from her partner. And irregardless of, of course she can still have manners. Of course she can still be polite and respectful. Of course she can still be a good mother. All of these things still apply, and I don't understand why that magically changes once they get married or once somebody has children with them.
Well, for me, I think that it has a lot to do with what you just said regarding the mother, because for men, and probably most of us, when we think of the role mother, we see a woman we think of our mother. We think of a woman who cooks and cleans and takes care of us and nurtures us, and we can't see her as a sexual being. So for the man, when he marries this woman, she becomes that. She, just transforms into that mother, that wife. So if I'm going to get down and dirty in public...
Or in private, it's cool.
Right. Then I'm going to do that with a woman who I have no ties with as far as my children, my in-laws, my family.
Oh, that's like that movie, Analyze This. Was it Analyze This or Analyze That? What was the first one? With Robert De Niro?
Yeah.
Does anybody remember that? And he's like,
Analyze This.
Yeah, where he's like explaining in the bar, like, I can't get it up, and and he's like, oh, what does your wife feel about that? No, it's with my mistress. And he's like, well, why do you have a mistress? What's wrong with your marriage? He's all nothing. It's like, well, why do you have a mistress? Well, she kisses my children good night. I don't want her doing that and then kissing my kids good night. It's like, whoa, that is irritatingly accurate, I think, for a lot of people.
I think it is.
I'm going to use that tomorrow. I'm going to tell my boss, you're irritatingly accurate. I'm going
to
thank you.
Anytime.
So, Marrie, what do you think makes makes a woman a freak? What does that mean when someone says she's a freak or I'm a freak? What makes a person a freak then?
That term really is subjective. It's kind of like calling someone a slut or a hoe. It's like completely subjective. It's like if you've had sex with more than 2 people, you're a slut. Or if you've had sex with 100 people, you're a hoe. Or if you've been in prostitution, you're a hoe. You know what I mean? It's completely subjective. I think freak is the same thing. And I kind of embrace the word slut and freak because if people are going to call me that, and that's what you think I am, and I'm a healthy, confident, intelligent, articulate woman, and that's what you boil me down to just because I enjoy sex and I control my sexuality, then fine, so be it. Then that's what I am. And, so I think freak is basically, if I were to say, it's somebody who has an open mind and is not judgmental. I think that you can be a freak, meaning you're open-minded, you're willing to explore things. And I'm not talking about, caving in and being a doormat and doing things that you're not already open to, right?
Right.
I'm not talking about being a sex slave somewhere. What I'm talking about is willing to explore your sexuality and someone you're with sexuality with them. It's a journey. It's a process, and you're open to it. And a lot of times that's labeled as a freak. I consider that being prosexual, personally. I think that is a healthy sexual attitude. But for some people, that's a freak. Whatever. How many dildos do you have? Oh, you're a freak. You know what a dildo is? Oh, my God. Right? It's like, I actually don't trust the women who don't have a dildo personally. I'm like, what are you doing?
I need to go out and buy a dildo. I don't have a dildo.
Crystal's not trustworthy.
But that's what I think a freak is. I think a freak is a completely subjective term, and I own it because if people assume that having a positive sexual attitude about myself and a positive non-judgmental attitude about the sexuality of others in consensual adult situations, then F you, then I'm a freak, whatever. So that's kind of how I look at it.
I gotta say, okay, look, I'm like this. All right, if I feel like I should be able to get freaky with the woman I'm with. You know what I'm saying? I mean, granted, okay, now we're not, I'm not into extremism. Anything like that. There's no animals involved. Anything like that, or animal testing for that matter. But I'm just saying that, if you're gonna do it, then you might as well do it. And if especially the person that you're with, and that whether it's a year, 2 years, 10 years, 50 years, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you got to use the pills to help, great. But if you're going to be freaky with that person, so be it. I'm freaky with her. You can't be freaky with everybody, but that's a whole other show. But I mean, I'm just saying, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, I'd be freaky with the person. If you can't be be freaky with the one you love.
Well, this probably puts me in the freak category. I'm perfectly okay with the individuals who choose to have consensual, once again, that's the huge word here, consensual sex with somebody. And they may not be in a monogamous relationship. They may not be in a loving, like, quote-unquote, loving, intimate, in terms of relationship. And that's okay, but as long as it's consensual, as long as it's honest, who the hell am I to judge? You guys were just talking about God and creationism and all that. I am not God. I like to think I'm God from time to time, and I like to be treated like a goddess, but I'm very well aware I'm not God. And I'm not on this earth to judge you or anybody else. And that's just how I look at it.
When should couples have this conversation? I see so many incompatible people who end up together. And I think that's the kind of the breakdown. I think sex is the breakdown of a lot of relationships, probably even more so than money, because people don't have these conversations soon enough. When do you think is a good time, Marrie, to have this conversation?
Okay, first of all, you brought up such a good point. That is so true, because there's a lot of poor people who are getting it on that are happy clams. They're as happy as can be. So I really honestly do believe that, being sexually compatible has more to do with, the lasting relationship than anything else, besides communication. Because, without being able to communicate, your sex is going to lack. Your sex is going to suffer, right? You got to feel comfortable and safe to share your freak, your freaky badass self.
Share the freak.
I would say, establishing, a really comfortable dialogue early on and trying as early as possible to begin testing the waters, especially before you commit to anything long-term. Well before marriage, you've kind of exposed the freak. Because I think it's completely unfair to change the deal, because I do think that is one of the rare times where you do change the deal. This isn't evolution. You haven't been married for 20 freaking years, and now you decide you like toys, right, or BDSM. This is you just getting to meet someone, and you already know that's your thing, and you're not sharing, you're not disclosing. So I think, before you close the deal, you need to expose the deal, because that's not fair. And then you can't turn around and bitch about them on social media that they aren't providing for you when you didn't tell them that was the deal, and that may not be theirs.
Exactly.
Okay, but hold on. So here's my question. So what about if you don't want to let all your open up your bag of tricks, let them just throw them all out on the floor? You know what I'm saying? What if you want to pick out? Okay, how about this?
You might scare them off.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about this trick next?
I totally buy that.
I don't want to just open up my big bag of tricks. Well, in my case, a small
bag.
But
don't do the freaking Mary Poppins carpet bag on on the first date because she will probably run for the hills, which is ironic because all of us have a Mary Poppins carpet bag. Like, we all have a bag of tricks. We all, like, normal doesn't exist. We're all Abby normal. We're completely not normal based on what morality and society tells us is normal. None of us fall into that category. But I do think that you should fully disclose pretty much all that you can honestly and respectfully before you commit to a long-term relationship. I don't think, especially if it's a fetish, you definitely need to let them know. You know, and a fetish is you require this thing in order to achieve pleasure. It's like, okay, that means you're never going to achieve pleasure without this thing. You've got to let them know that's your deal. If it's just a fetish or a turn on, you know, I mean, just a kink or a turn on, no problem. Maybe you can work it in other ways. But if it's a fetish, you got to freaking let it out because you're going to be unhappy and that other person's going to be unhappy for a very long time.
Okay, now we have Q on the line. Q, what's your fetish?
Wow.
Just bam.
Hey, I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know.
Let me speak to Marrie first. Marrie, how are you?
I'm great, handsome. How are you?
I am doing well. For those who don't know, I'm Marrie's little lamb, you know, because everywhere she is, I tend to go.
All right.
And I'd be lost without him.
And, you know, personally, I feel like as long as you're taking Marrie's advice, you will keep your man in your house. I'm positive of that.
Okay.
But what is my fetish? Fetish is such a strong word because I don't require, the only thing I require in a woman in order to get off is her presence. And, you know, I mean, so I don't have this one thing. Now, don't get me wrong. I like pretty feet. I like shapely legs. I don't know. I mean, I don't have this one thing. Basically, just show up. And if you bring chicken wings, even better.
Just show up and a manicure and a pedicure. Pedicure, chicken, and show up. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, pedicure. Hey. You said pedicure. Wait.
Are you another foot guy?
Chris,
what's with the feet?
But you know this already. Come on.
Yeah, I do. What is it?
And hoop earrings.
Marrie, do you know what is it with feet and men?
I have no freaking clue. I really don't understand it. I am not a feet person at all. In fact, I don't even like my feet. And I get comments on my feet. My man freaking loves my feet. I'm like,
he's
okay,
cool. He's cool.
Whatever rocks your boat.
No, go at it, baby.
Yeah, they're clean. I scrubbed them today. It's all good.
Oh, my God.
But, you know, I don't understand the feet thing at all. I'm waiting for somebody to, but, you know, I have an arm thing. If a man has good arms, like biceps, yum, take a bite out of that. I am all about that. So I'm sure some men are probably like, really, my arms? Like, seriously, you could let pretty much the rest of your shit go. You've got good arms, I'm in.
I love the chest. I love laying my head on a nice chest, and the hair has to be correct. Can't be too popcorny or too smooth. You know, it has to be just a little bit, and it has to be wide and you know, muscular and sexy without being too muscular. And it's,
Oh, goodness.
All the guys are like, oh, God.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Now, Marrie, I want to ask this one thing regarding couples and disclosure. I hear about a lot of couples who they've been couples for a while, and all of a sudden they want to do a threesome, or one of them wants to do a threesome. And why is it that people wait so long to disclose that they want a menage a trois?
I honestly think, and I think I touched on this earlier, I don't think a lot of people go into a long-term relationship just thinking to myself, damn, I need a menage a trois in my life. I really don't think they do that. I think for the most part, guys are happy they're getting laid on a regular basis.
True.
And the girl is really happy that she has a guy who pays attention to her in all the right ways, right? So I think you get 5, 10, 20 years under your belt, you're kind of like, okay, we've done pretty much everything we can do within the parameters of, ourselves. Now
what's
what?
legal in Arkansas, right?
Right. Oh, God. Not Arkansas. Bad example. I'm just kidding. But, I really don't think that is changing the deal. I think that people do evolve. I mean, think about when we all first started having sex. Do we enjoy the same things or experience the same pleasure now that we did when we were, however young we were when we started exploring? I hope to God the answer is no. Because now that we're, older, I'm just going to leave it at that. There's certain, we've explored our sexuality more and we've opened our minds a little more, hopefully, and we're willing to try and explore different things. And so I don't think it's changing the deal, and I think it's perfectly acceptable. I would personally rather my man tell me that's something he wants and have that conversation rather than him to assume that I'm the type of person that's going to be, oh, God, no, you're such an asshole, and not give me the opportunity to have a choice and to have a discussion about it. For some people, just talking about it is fantasy enough. Maybe you just role play it. Maybe you just do dirty talk while you're actually having sex, just the two of you in your own bedroom. Maybe that's enough to get his rocks off.
I'm sorry.
Have
Did you say
fun
role
with
play
it.
with 3 people? Role play a third person?
You can imagine, okay, what would he do to me right now? What would you have her do to me right now?
Okay.
I don't know if my imagination is that good.
But I'm just saying, you can talk about it.
Like a fantasy.
Right. Explore the fantasy. And sometimes once you start exploring a fantasy, you both may discover, or maybe one of you will discover, that's just not my thing. But it's fun to talk about it. So, I don't see anything wrong with discussing it. And hopefully you're in a relationship and you have that mutual respect where you can have that dialogue and not feel shame attached to it. Because I think that's really a pity when people do that. And I think it's really a pity when partners don't talk to their partner about something they desire because they fear what they're going to think of them. And it's like they'd rather talk to some stranger rather than their partner who promised to love and cherish them for the rest of their lives. It's like, if you can't trust me with that information, there's something more going on and more wrong with our shit than just you wanting a threesome.
Okay,
well, I think that sometimes
should we have a stripper pole in our bedrooms or not as a couple? Or just as a single woman? Should I buy a stripper pole?
Should you buy a stripper pole?
You should get one.
I should get one.
If that's what floats your boat, buy whatever you want.
and shower rods.
Oh
my God.
He wants to peek over or through.
It's like the new craze with people now. They got the strip classes and the exercise classes of teaching women how to strip and use the pole. I mean, could that help keep men from the strip club?
I don't think men need a pole.
All of our money.
No.
Oh.
Nah. That is not going to keep men from the strip club, strictly because the fact that you have some sort of, anonymity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because all they're looking at, if you think about it, you're being professionally teased for how long you stay there. So it's a business transaction. I'm paying for a service.
Okay.
So that's just like if I'm paying to get my garage door fixed. I'm paying for you to take off of your off your clothes and
off of your
do really cool things.
Did you just say clit?
Huh? No, I said clothes.
Yeah, it was a Freudian slip, Dre.
Oh, yeah. Me and Fred don't get along anyway.
I heard the same thing Crystal did.
You people.
I don't know. A Freudian slip. Oh, we got it. We caught it.
Me and Fred don't get along anyway. But, I guess my thing is I don't care if there's a strip pole in every room in the house, even in the kitchen. It's not going to stop men from going to strip club, generally. Okay. Because, again, it's the anonymity.
But I think that, I don't know. I mean, a lot of women are taking these classes because they're thinking that this will keep him home, because that kind of goes back to the whole thing. If I, as a good girl, quote unquote, the wife, the main chick, if I can start stripping, learn how to use a pole, start doing, maybe allow him to participate in a menage a trois with me, if I can do all these quote-unquote freaky things, then I'm going to keep him home, and he's not going to go out and have a mistress or sleep with someone on the side or whatever. So is there no hope for the wife? She just has to deal with the fact that he's going to do certain things?
I'm sorry, you asking Marrie?
Oh, you guys.
You go ahead. You take it first, Q.
I was going to say, if a person is going to cheat, well, you have two types of cheaters. You have the one who seeks it out, and you have the opportunist. Doing all the sexy stuff will work for the opportunist, because if he's caught up in what's at home, he's not going to allow for many opportunities to get in his way. But for the just bona fide cheater, it doesn't matter what you do. He may enjoy it, sure enough, but when he gets a chance, he's going to want something different. So you can do all the tricks in the world. You can have a book on tricks, It can be titled, Book O Tricks. It doesn't matter, because he's going to want someone 3 inches shorter, blonder, bigger, skinnier. I mean, he's just going to want something different. So I think it works for the halfway decent guy. But you have some guys, it doesn't matter what you do.
Right. Wow. So no hope. I don't know. Marrie, what do you think? What do you think?
I think a woman or a man, quite frankly, neither one should do anything that sacrifices who and what they are. Okay. If you're open to it and you want to explore that for your own reasons, whatever those reasons are, and some of those reasons may be, I want to make my partner happy, but that cannot be the only reason, right? That could be one of the reasons. Maybe you're sexually curious and want to explore, blah, 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 whatever other reasons you may have. But a person should never sacrifice who and what they are for someone else. And if they clearly communicate, babe, I know that that's something you want, but that is just not who I am, then at that point, like Hugh says, he's a cheater or he's not. He's with you or he's not. He's all in or he's not. And he's going to do whatever he wants, whether you did that particular act or not, because there could be a next one. There could be a next one. There could be a next one, right? Once you open that door, he's going to walk right through it, or she's going to walk right through it. Then you become a doormat. So I think people need to stick by their guns about who and what they are, but I don't see anything wrong with exploring that. If your partner's pleasure is a part of the reason, but not the sole reason, okay. But they can't be the only reason why you're doing that. And if you're sacrificing who and what you are to make that other person happy, then you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and you need to stop. And if they cheat, I know this sounds really horrible, and it sounds great to say it in theory until it's happening to you, but it's kind of doomed anyways. There's not much you can do. And why sacrifice yourself if the ship's going down already? Why lose yourself in the process?
Church.
You know what?
Good one.
Yeah.
That's good. Good talk.
I mean, because when you think about the quote-unquote good girl or whatever, I think that some women, you grow up a certain way. You have certain beliefs and morals or whatever, whether it's religious, and you just do not feel like this is who you are. I don't want to get on a stripper pole. I don't want to buy any toys. I just want to be a great person, a great wife, a great girlfriend. I love the missionary style. It works for me. And then what you said, Marrie, to me is really important. Don't sacrifice who you are just to make this guy stay with you. And I think a lot of women do that.
However, to build on what you said, I know there's if you are the type of person who only likes the missionary style and you don't like all the razzmatazz, so to speak, then you have to be willing to wait until you find someone that is compatible with you. So you can't say that I only want a missionary, then turn around and say there aren't any good men out there. No,
Yep.
there aren't any good men out there who only like missionary.
Yep.
So
Agreed.
if you're voluntarily willing to shrink your dating pool, then do what makes you happy. But sometimes you have to compromise and roll over and let them tap the butt.
That's all.
But that's like what we were talking about earlier. You gotta open Pandora's box. You gotta get Mary Poppins' freaking carpet bag out before you go into a long-term commitment in marriage. Before you walk down that aisle, you gotta know what you're buying.
Right. And of course, a lot of times the whole idea is not to do that at all. Is not to talk about sex or to even engage in it until you're walking down that aisle or practically walking down that aisle.
Don't even get me started on that conversation.
We have to have you back for that one.
Right.
With honors. I would be honored.
Well, thank you so much, Marrie, for coming on to the show, and please let everyone know where they can get more of your expertise and great sex education.
Well, first of all, thank you very much, both of you, for having me on. It was such a good time, and I was so nervous. I'm like, I'm going to fall flat on my face, but you guys were so gracious, and thank you so much. And I loved hearing your first guests, by the way. I look forward to hearing more from them and wish them much success. And you can find me at dirtyinpublic.com. You can also find me on Facebook. My page is also Dirty in Public. And you can find me also on Twitter at Dirty in Public. I'm kind of all over the place. And I'm also...
But you're just Dirty in Public, aren't you?
Dirty in Public. And I also have a co-host on Mr. N, and that's with the letter N, Romance Podcast, and her name is Susie. And her and I host a podcast that invades your smartphones and airwaves every Monday.